everyone, welcome to Antisocialite. I am your host, Carly Cassidy, and my parasite today is Amanda Jewell. Amanda,
Yes.
yeah? Okay. Visiting from the great state of Texas. Whoop whoop.
Thank you.
And it's a big day because we braved returning to the bagel spot where Amanda passed out and got a concussion on her first day in the Big Apple.
Yeah.
So we went back there and they now have a bench in her honor. No, they just have one now. So no knees were locked, no heads were hurt, but bagels were consumed. And so I thought on today's episode, I would retell the story of how I hit my head and got a concussion on a first date, which was quite a tale. So yeah, why don't we get started? So I guess I'll take you back to the summer of 2020. It's the height of COVID. And of outdoor dating and dining in the Big Apple. And so I had been chatting with a guy for a few weeks here and there, and I honestly didn't think he was gonna ask me out because he would just resurface. And we had really weird text conversations. I think one topic was foot fetishes or just I don't even know how it came up. It was as a joke, but then I messaged him. I was like, I'm beginning to think you aren't going to actually ask me out. And so he was like, okay, how about this Saturday at this time? And I'm like, okay, bet. And we go to one bar that didn't have reservations, or they didn't have a spot. And so rather than walk 7 minutes to another place nearby, he calls a cab.
Oh.
So I was like, this is my type of person. This is the amount of laziness that I require. And so we went to a Mexican restaurant, and I thought we were going to, consume some food, because the best part about New York during the pandemic is they required you to purchase food with the consumption of alcohol. And I was like, all right, guys can't be cheap. They have to feed me if I'm going to drink. But that turned into $1 cups of nasty chili and just all these loopholes to where you could technically be buying something that wasn't food.
Wait, that's insane. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And so we went to this place and we're sitting outside. And I had a mojito or two because it was last call, and I got frazzled, and they're like, you want another drink? And I was like, sure. And they put it in a to-go cup. So I had a sippy cup. It was a mojito. And I hadn't eaten in a bit.
A recipe for dessert?
Yeah. But he ordered some tacos for himself.
Okay, love that.
And I was like, okay, well, that's cool.
Did you not want tacos?
Not selfish.
Okay.
He didn't really ask if I wanted any food. Hindsight is 2020. That probably would have been something kind and considerate. But I do remember the conversation topics were really weird. He was talking about how a medication he took for ADHD made him have sexual dreams about his friend's girlfriend. And he was like, yeah, it was so weird because then I have to see her in person. And so I'm like,
why would he tell you that?
Just weird things. And I thought I originally also wanted to go on this date. One, he was cute and he went to a good college. And so I'm like, he must be smart. And he also wore glasses. So I thought he must be really smart. Only to find out he got into said school because a family member is a really prominent academic scholar, and so he was a legacy. And then I was like, oh, but you had a really cool major, what made you pick that? And he's like, yeah, I just didn't really know, so I just kind of threw a dart at the board.
Passionate.
Yeah. And he worked for a cool company. I was like, wow, I've read books by the founder of this company, and he was like, yeah, I got fired. And I was like, oh, why is that? And he was like, yeah, I just didn't really do my job. And he was like,
that'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. So he was doing really well. And we got to the end of, I don't even want to say the night, just the end of, I guess it was 11 o'clock because in New York, bars and restaurants closed early during the pandemic. They're like, it's 11 o'clock, you got to go. So I had my sippy cup mojito, and we had only been there for like maybe an hour and a half. And it was very hot out as well. That factors into this.
Always does.
But then he said, we got two options. I can like call it a night, go our separate ways. He's like, or, we can like walk around the city, like make out a little. And I thought he was making like a joke,
Totally.
But I also thought he was very cute.
So
And so I was kind of like, we can take a walk. I like to walk. I'm like a dog. I like to go on walks. So we were walking around, and we ended up, he also had like a hurt knee or something. So he was like, I can't like keep walking. Like, can we just like stand? So we were standing outside of Club Monaco, which is just a bougie clothing store, not a nightclub.
Oh, it was a nightclub.
And we were just standing, talking, because it's just
What
having
people do, yeah.
having a great chat. And after like an hour of that, I'm sure my knees were locked. I was like, I probably should call my Uber. And he was like, oh, like, should you? And I was kind of annoyed because he hadn't kissed me up until like, this potential moment. And because I was like, oh, he made this joke. And I was like, well, I guess he's not going to kiss me. That's really confidence boosting. But then when I was like going to call my Uber, he was like, oh, are you sure you should do that? And then he kissed me, and I was like, bro, logistics. I'm trying to schedule a ride. Like, trying to be cute. So after I pulled away from the kiss, and like, when you kiss someone, your eyes should, I believe, be closed, unless you're the guy from The Bachelor. just wide eye kissing. I started to feel a little sick, and I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I'm more intoxicated than I thought. And like at that point in time, I really didn't feel like really even like tipsy. I just felt like, felt nice.
Totally.
But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna vomit, and this is so embarrassing. But then I did not vomit. Everything kind of started to go black, and I fell like it was almost like a cartoon, like where you see Welcome to New York.
Welcome to New York.
Wait, is that copyright? Am I getting in trouble?
No.
Okay, we're good. But it was like almost like a cartoon, like Tom and Jerry, where you're just like, you fall like straight back, just like a plop.
Like slow-mo.
Yeah, and I hit my head. And this was the worst part, is that I hit my head on I hit the floor at the Club Monaco, and dropped it down low to the concrete. And I hit my head so hard that the impact, I think I had like a mini seizure or something, because I peed myself. And I remember in the moment just being really grateful that I thought my jeans were unflattering when I was trying them on, that I switched to like a long black skirt. So like I didn't like have like a full accident, but it was like enough like to trickle down my leg to where I was like, uh-oh. And I was like, oh my God, did this just happen? But he had no idea. And he still doesn't, unless by some weird, I don't know, anomaly, he can listen to this, but he shouldn't be able to, because I removed him from my Instagram followers like a year ago. But I remember I got up, and he was like, whoa, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, like I must have just not eaten enough, or haha. And he was like, oh, like, let's make sure you get home okay. And so he gets in the Uber with me to go back to my apartment. And this was when I was in the process of moving. And so my apartment was just like a bunch of boxes, and it was a mess and chaotic. And me being me, I was like, Carly, you're not going to clean up your apartment because you're not bringing a man back to your apartment on a first date. So like, it's allowed to be disgusting still. And like all my cool girl books and cute art stuff, everything was put away in boxes. Yeah. So he gets there, and like, he asks me if I can get him a glass of water. And he's like, just eat some pretzel sticks or something. I have to see you like eat food.
Yeah.
and he had to like move boxes over to like sit on my little like chaise lounge I had at the time. That he was just like uncomfortably, and his knee was hurt. You know, I just like cracked my head open on the sidewalk, but you know, he like had to sit and was uncomfortable and had to make it known that his leg was like propped up because his poor knee. And then he like used the restroom, and I went and saw in the mirror that like my back was like bleeding because I was in like it was really hot out. I had like a tank top or something on with a skirt. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize like my back is bleeding. He was like, yeah, like you should like clean yourself up. And then he was like, yeah, I should probably go. And he gave me like an awkward hug inside my apartment, and left. And I just remember being mortified, but also like, do I need to go to the hospital? Am I okay? You know?
Yeah, it seems like you took a harder impact than I did. And
Yeah.
you didn't even go to the hospital.
But I remember I tried calling my sister and she didn't answer because she was like, Carly, you have to deal with stuff. Or she thought I was being like dramatic. And then I remember telling her next day, I was like, no, like I have to get like a brain scan or something. Like, and I called my mom the next day. And the best part of this all is I had like another guy that I was supposed to go out with like 2 days later. Yeah. Because I like date chaotically where it's like I won't go out with anyone for like 6 months, and then I'll be like, oh, 4 dates in 1 week. This is normal. But this guy, I was like, yeah, I was at a birthday party and I hit my head and got a concussion. And this other dude who had no idea was like on another date was being so kind. I was like, oh my God, can I bring you anything? All this stuff. And I felt so bad because I was like, I'm lying. I was on a different date. Yeah, it was not.
Keeper, though.
No, I ghosted him. I was like, I don't know you. Why are you trying to be nice to me? Like, I literally hit my head on the ground in front of someone and they ghosted me. So, this is where I should go next. Okay. Spoiler alert. Oops. I texted this guy the next day because I thought, like, he did make sure I got home alive, so I should probably say thank you, you know? And I messaged him and I tried to be cute about it, and just like laugh it off. And so I was like, oh, like, thank you. I had fun. And regardless, and I said, like, it was definitely like a very unconventional, like, a date, but like, thanks for like sweeping me off my feet or something. Like, I was like making a joke out of it, to be like, yeah, like, I'm cool. Like, it's whatever. And like, this man didn't even react to the message. Like, I didn't even get like a thumbs up. Like,
no way.
Just nothing ever again, except he was still on my Instagram followers. And so he just would watch my stories for like, honestly, I think I still had him on there for like a year. And then I just was like, why are you here still? And I just kicked him off because I had unfollowed him like right away because I was just like, oh, I don't need to be reminded of this. And then I went to the hospital, just to go to like the neuro place to be like, was this like a seizure from hitting my head or am I epileptic or something, you know? Yeah. And so I went and I had like a little, what is it, like an EEG where they hook up all the little nodes to your brain. And like, I was like, this is a really cool way to spend my Friday night. And there's just like this like middle-aged man sitting there in the room while I like just lay there with a bunch of probes on my head. And I'm like, seen any good movies, man? What are you streaming?
What did he talk to you about doing that?
Not much. I think eventually he left and I was just there with my thoughts. Yeah. But yeah, so that happened. But I had already made plans with a friend of mine to go to like an outdoor COVID comedy show that was like on a rooftop that week. And I wasn't allowed to work. I had to take a week off work because I wasn't supposed to get screens, you know, because of the concussion. But I asked my doctor, I was like, so I'm supposed to go to this comedy show. It's outside, no screens. Like, can I do that, you know?
Yeah.
And she had said, like, yes, but if you start to feel bad, you know, leave. Yeah. I was like, okay, bet. So I went to this comedy show and I just like wasn't all there. Like I was in the front and there were like 10 people at this comedy show. It was like the height of COVID where you're wearing a mask outside on a rooftop and there's still like 10 people spaced apart. And also, as we know, 2020, that summer was like the height of Black Lives Matter movement. And so it's irrelevant I mean, it's always relevant, but it was relevant to this one performer's set. And he looked at me straight during a set and he was like, I know Black Lives Matter. Do you know Black Lives Matter? And he literally looks directly at me and says, because you're looking in my general direction, but you're not looking at me. And I was like, oh my God, because he was also the last performer of the night. So I've been like my eyes were like trying to follow people on the like, and I'm also, it's that thing where you're so close to the mic to where it's like uncomfortable because you have to like, it's almost like the comedian is the distance where I am from you right now across the table.
Wow.
Like they were like so close. And I'm just like, oh, but also this guy was just going back and forth and I was
Just trying
like
to keep
my
up.
that in my head hurt so bad. He was walking faster than my like doctor when they do the little finger glove test and they're like, follow my finger. And so I felt awful and I was like, oh my God, like I should probably go up to him after the show. And I did. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm concussed. And like I like literally like can't I like really like couldn't actually look at you or like anyone else for that matter. And he was just like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And then my friend who was with me had the liberty to be like, yeah, she hit her head on a first date, got a concussion. And the comedian was like, no. And he was like, how was the date though? Was it good? And then my friend, before I can even talk, she's like, oh, he ghosted her.
Oh my gosh. Just
And yeah, and the comedian was like, what? Like, he didn't even catch you? And it was the first moment where I was like, this freaking noodle-armed hipster didn't even try to put his hands out. Like, obviously, people react different in, like, shock and trauma. Like, not trauma, like, you're traumatized. But, like, you know, you're not expecting it. Because even when you fainted in front of me, you were too far. I tried to grab your arm, and then you did a little pivot. You did a little boop. But yeah, like he just was kind of like, oops. You know, the same work ethic he put into his job when he got fired and picking his college major, the rest of his life, you know, and clearly into picking his.
One that got away, dude.
Yeah. Oh man. Whew. That trust fund though. Trust that I won't catch you, but my finances will.
Hey,
but I thought about Venmoing him for the cost of my medical bills because, you know, like the scan it was not cheap. But then I thought, you know, be the bigger person, even though he was like 6'4". And I was like, I'm not the bigger person, but his personality was small, and I'm dying. But long story short, the comedian after that was like, well, if you ever want to go out to dinner with someone who won't let you fall, follow me on Instagram. Whoa. And my friend was with me, was like, Carly, you gotta do it. And I said, no, I've already given him enough material tonight. And half of his bit was about having like $500 to his name in his bank account. So I was like, you know, I don't want to make that go down anymore. And the friend I was with, she's like, yeah, like your life, like it's fun to watch. I'm like, yeah, it's like a train crash, like it's, or like a car crash, like it's fun for you to watch, but like I have to live it, like. Yeah. And then I'm staring right now. So this is a friend where for Christmas one year, we made each other like inspirational quote like art. Yeah. So I made her this like canvas, or I had it made, and it was a Venn diagram because she's a software engineer, and it was comparing men to computers. And I forget, I need to find it because it was like computers, great memory, men will gaslight yours. But then in the middle of all these different things, it was like, I program them to do what I want, like what they have in common. But she made me a poster that's over there. And it was like, if you're going to make bad life choices, at least make them like funny enough for everyone else.
That is so good.
And it was like, I don't know if I can put this up with my parents visit me. Oops. But yeah, so I feel like I'm the entertainment at brunch.
But I love it. I ask for it all the time, you guys. Like her New York City dating life it's pretty iconic.
It's fun to like laugh. It's one of those things where like, this will be funny in like 3 years.
Yes.
But in the moment you're like,
what the hell?
You're like, okay, cool, all right, I'm not mad. Not offended.
No, fair.
I'm trying to think, but yeah, and the sad thing is like that's not the sad thing, but the ironic thing is like that's not even like the only injury I've had on a first date. We've got concussions. No. I'll have to give like the heat stroke story another day.
Wait, why did I think this was like a combination of the heat stroke story? I thought the heat stroke story
was the same dude.
Was the beginning, yeah.
No, gotcha. I mean, to be fair, I fainted probably because I was overheated and like dehydrated.
Yeah.
And underfed thanks to this man.
No time for you, dude.
And I lived by that restaurant, so I'd have to walk by it all the time. And now I just laugh every time I'm on Fifth Avenue and I like walk past the Club Monaco and I'm like, see that dent in the sidewalk? That's from me. It's not, but
But it feels that way.
It would be cool if it was. I could be like a Hollywood Walk of Fame, like the little stars. Like I just have my head and then my name.
100%. You can still do it.
Inside of a broken heart.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, that'd be funny. It'd have so many places in the city.
So many places in the city, fair.
Yeah, but that was the story of how I peed my pants on a first day.
How did you not see the pee, though?
I mean, it wasn't like a stream. This is so TMI. It was just like, it's what I imagine happens, you know, when like pregnant women are like, it just takes a sneeze. Like after you give birth. Yeah. Yeah. No. No.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like, you know how like male dogs, like Linus, my beautiful wiener dog, like when he pees like 10 different times on 10 different things, but it's just like a little bit. A little bit.
Okay, I got you.
So these are the very explicit details of, you know, yeah. My bladder. But the crazy thing is like I've actually seen a thing where I like wasn't the first person or only, you know, I'm not the only person who's like peed their pants on a first date. Today's lovely podcast sponsor is Hello John. Hello John, because he's fresh. John's greatest strength is that he has no intention or interest in having a conversation with you here. Here's an hinge. Match with John if you're ready to make plans. This is win-win, because if John matches with you, it's because he's made the decision to take you out. Thanks, John. So Amanda is here this week, or I should say weekend. She's here with me this weekend because, very exciting, she actually, I guess she's the first podcast guest because she took the pictures for the podcast. So whatever the cover I've decided on that's there right now in the future, retroactively thinking about it.
Yeah.
She did that, and I might have edited a bit, you know, but it's all her. And maybe a teensy bit me. But I'm in it. So like, yeah, it's kind of, it's me.
Helping bring the vision to life.
Yes. But it was like kind of chaotic for us to get together. Because Uber was insane. So we ended up, instead of leaving together from my apartment, she came from downtown, from like Soho. And I got an Uber Black because Uber does this thing sometimes where Uber Black is cheaper than just regular Ubers.
Yeah.
And I think I'm honestly kind of concerned because I realized once I got dropped off at the location that I typed in the wrong address. And it was also torrential downpour, and I had like I was carrying like a step stool, a suitcase, a bag, a garment bag, 100%. All my insecurities, and like essentially where he dropped me off, where I messed it up, it was like a Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
And I had all this stuff that was like props and like film stuff, and I was like, and I was going to a hotel, and I was like, oh God, I hope he doesn't think I'm here to like shoot an adult movie.
Oh, God, no,
like,
literally.
I was like, oh no. But I realized I'm blind and I messed up the number. So like then Amanda pulls up, and she had left like an hour before, but was like sitting in traffic, and it took her forever to get there.
It was so bad. I waited 40 minutes for my Uber at my hotel, and this was pretty much all because of the rain, and then of course being in Soho where it's densely populated, but mainly because of the rain. And like then after waiting 40 minutes for the Uber, the actual Uber was gonna take 50 minutes just to get from Soho to Carly's, and then at that point it was like we would miss like the studio time turning around, so I just changed it to where we were going, which still took
and then she pulls up at like the wrong place, and I'm like, hey, sorry, we have to take all this stuff, and we have to walk like 2 minutes up the road.
Well, which thank God it was close.
Yeah,
like,
thank God I messed up the street number and not like the actual street it was on.
No,
and it was like flooding. It was a mess, but we got to the studio, and it was so cool.
Very perfect New York.
Yeah, and it was insane, and we had fun with our little photo shoot session. And then we went and got some delicious Thai food, sat at the bar to eat some noodles, did not order any alcohol. The bartenders were like, why are you here? And I was like, for the noodles, duh.
Yeah,
I love to stare at bottles of alcohol while I eat noodles. And then we ended up spontaneously going to like a release party for a short film. Was it a short film or a full-length film?
It was a film.
It was a film, and it was really cool. But like, since we found out about it last minute, we didn't actually go to the screening.
Yeah, we just went to an after party basically.
And we were like, oh, like, what was your favorite part of the film? All of it. It was great. But then when we saw all the stills from the film that were like projected on the walls, I was like, man, I really wish we would have like been able to see this.
Film. It was really cool. It's called Salad. Yeah, but we definitely went to support Angel White. He was performing at the beginning of the celebration. He's based in Texas, and so it was pretty crazy for me just to be here and ironically like find out a bunch of people from Dallas were in town for this event, and they're trying to bridge the gap between the creative scene in New York and Dallas. So it was a cool little moment to run into.
That is cool. And we had so they had like obviously like free alcohol, and we're cheap. And so I had like a flavored water, but I knew I'd want a White Claw after, and there was one left, and so I hadn't finished my first non-alcoholic drink, and I put a White Claw like just in my pants pocket, just walking around with it. And then Amanda thought that we were like taking them to go, so she just stuffs one in her bag, and then later we're going to get, because she's like, I need pizza, and so we're trying to find like, I take her to one pizza place because it said it was open until 3 a.m. So I'm like, clearly this isn't like a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah, next to the Stephen Colbert show.
And we get there, and they're like, oh, no, you can only order like whole pies to go. And
it
so
was bougie, too.
Yeah, it was like a nice place. It looked great, but we were like, we're in a hurry.
I'm just tired. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So instead of spending $30 on a full pie, we went next door and spent $5 on 2 pieces of pizza.
Yeah, the 99. Yeah, you're like, how does that work? The 99-cent slice of pizza, and then you're like, it'll be $6.25, and I'm like, can I not do math, or can you not do math? But it's like cash only. But while we were there, there was what I presume a mentally ill homeless guy, but he was talking about, and I have a lot of like empathy and sympathy.
No, for sure.
I don't know which, I get confused which one I'm supposed to use, like empathy or sympathy, so I just throw them both in there just, to cover all my bases, because I'm a dumb. And
which is so funny.
Yeah. But this guy, it was so strange because he was like talking to himself, but like, like talking out loud about how he was like related to the royal family, but he was cut off. And then something about how he has to be a virgin forever.
Yeah, he was like Prince Philip or heir of Prince Philip, and he has to be a virgin forever.
And then he was like, they cut me, or he kept saying this stuff, and he was talking all this gibberish about that. And then he goes up to the counter and goes, I'll have 2 slices, please. And they're just like so normal, and like, and then goes straight back, and once he gets his like soda from the fridge about it.
Weird about it.
But it was like a moment where I felt the most safe in New York, because I was like, oh, like he might be, going through some stuff, but like part of his bit is that, you know, like, he has to be a virgin forever. So I'm like, all right, at least I know I'm safe. Like, no one's going to assault me here. Like, we're good.
At least Henry's not going to make a move right now.
I'm like, I'm good.
Virgin,
so I was like, this is comforting a little bit, you know? Yeah. I also realized we jumped around. Before we even went and got pizza, we went to, like, an entire bar.
Oh my gosh, we skipped Roxy.
Yeah, we went to the Roxy bar, which I'd never been to before.
So
also, because I just am a grandma and I like just like don't get out except for Eggs Benedict. And we got like I got a martini. You got you're like, can I get a Cosmo? Can I get a pink drink? I love Cosmos. And then we didn't want to wait for a table, and so we just found space at like the coffee bar
that was closed,
within it that was like closed. And then we were like people watching at like midnight outside the window and like.
And I don't have my glasses half the time on, so like I make straight eye contact with people, but I don't realize I'm making eye contact. But I'm like either mean mugging them or giving them bedroom eyes, and I don't know which one. Like
I can't tell. Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, it was so fun though.
Yeah, I had a great time, and then we you obviously do this a lot, but we rode the subway.
Oh yeah, we rode the subway and we didn't die, and we didn't see anyone go to the bathroom on the subway or nearby. That was really nice. Hard one to
confirm, though. That one guy was really questionable.
Okay. There was a guy that was squatting on the platform, and I was like, he's just scratching his ankle, and then he was like still squatting. I was like, I think he's just like doing a little dance move to himself, but I don't know. I didn't see evidence of anything, so I'm just like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
New York is wild.
New York is something.
New York is.
It's a vibe, though.
It is. It is a vibe. Oh, man. But yeah, so we were being antisocialites, I guess.
We really were.
Going to after parties for movies we've never seen. Ditching the nice pizza for the cheap pizza.
And not sitting at the bougie restaurant we got the drink from, sitting at the coffee bar, it's closed.
Yeah. Really I was joking because like my whole thing is like I need to stop going on app dates. I need to just like go out. Those are if you can hear my upstairs neighbors, I hate them.
They're running. They're in a marathon right now.
They're the worst. They're the worst people.
But what if they find this?
If they find this, they should know that you're the worst.
Oh, the way you looked at that mic.
I looked at the mic like
I romanticized the mic.
Like I was about to go in for like a like the guys that they do like the eye. Oh my god, I'm having fight or flight. Oh my god.
So are they. They're
okay.
Fight and flight.
Yeah. I should go upstairs and be like, excuse me, I'm trying to record my first podcast ever. Could you please be quiet? Thank you.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm here with you on your first recording.
Yeah.
That's pretty nuts. I was just thinking about it. As we watch the baby grow, it's crazy that this is where.
Oh my god. Am I a baby or is the podcast the
podcast
baby?
Is the baby.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm a
You're
grown
the mother.
Oh yeah, mother's mothering.
The mother is mothering. No, actually though.
The oldest Gen Z. Actually, I guess I think I'm a zillennial, whatever that means.
Yeah, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you fall on the cusp.
It's where like I'm not cool enough to like get invited to stuff with millennials, but then Gen Z makes fun of my clothes. Like I don't have a side part, but I still get made fun of by the youth.
Yeah.
So
I don't know who's making fun of you, but I get what you're saying.
It's intimidating. Okay, going downtown in New York to the East Village and you see all these little like NYU students and their little cropped puffer jackets and low-rise jeans. But honestly, they dress like you. Actually, you're a Gen Z. Like you, yeah. Sorry, it's like literally just walking by and and they don't have their glasses on either, so they look like they're giving you a mean look, and you're like, oh, okay.
Is that me? That's so crazy.
I'm like, respect your elders, okay? Respect
Dude,
us.
I was at a client dinner this week, and literally, I guess they were talking about clothes that you wear or whatever, and I walk up and
you wear
like,
clothes?
oh, they were talking about what the kids wear or whatever. And oh, sorry, I cussed.
Bleep.
Bleep. They were talking about the clothes the kids wear, and I walk up, and so someone was like, oh yeah, Amanda, like look what Amanda wears, and the one girl, she was sober, so I'll give her that, but she turns around and she was like, oh, and then I was like, what?
Wait.
And then everyone was like, what? And then she was like, sorry, I didn't mean that. But they were like basically talking about the fact that like I wear crop tops and like dunks and like low-rise pants on accident.
Only dunks I have are donuts.
Yeah, and so anyway, it was
yeah.
I wouldn't say it was humbling because like honestly I would much rather wear what I was.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can't
I'm gonna send this to her.
Yeah, like you can't take opinions from people that you don't respect where they're at or like what they're doing. So it's like
yeah, that's like when I dated a guy, and he threatened to like and jokingly threatened to like burn my clothes because he's like, oh, they're so ugly. And then I'm like, what do I get all the compliments on dating apps? They're always like, oh, your style. Wait, and I'm not saying I have good style, but it's just like funny. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean he told you to burn your clothes?
Like he joked, he was like, I'm gonna like he goes, I'm gonna burn that outfit, or like these are grandma skirts, or like yeah.
Okay.
But he dressed real bad. So
yeah, I see, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not taking it from you.
Yeah, I'm like, listen. Listen. But yeah, so I guess this is cool. First episode.
Yes.
I decided to finally branch out into the podcasting world. I know everyone and their mom has a podcast.
That's just not true. People like to think that, but like also the percentage of people that actually end up making a podcast.
Like consistently?
Well, no. There's like, everyone says that everyone has a podcast, but then there's actually a smaller percentage, obviously, of people that actually have a podcast. Then there's the smaller percentage of the people that actually keep going with it or are consistent. And
okay. Yeah.
And
so when this becomes my only episode ever.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
So
I'm kidding. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought I would do it because I had like a bunch of people. It's funny because I always grew up like in my family where like I wasn't the funny one, or like my siblings would roast me and they'd be like, timing, Carly, or like it's not funny, and I'm like, I'm not even trying to be funny, like this is just me, like this is just who I am. I'm like, this is just my person. Like you're saying, you just like fundamentally don't like me as a person, I feel like and
I'm not trying to make you laugh.
Yeah, and then I guess I would be good at like Instagram captions because I just like words, you know. I like words.
You do like words. You're good with words.
Words with friends. This is just words with friends.
Hey,
okay,
exactly.
Bringing it back. But ironically, the one person who always like slides into my DMs and is like, you should do comedy, or like you should have a podcast, is like a guy I met on a dating app that like never actually, or like he would ask me out, but it would be like, then I would like follow up and it would like never happen, or like, you know, like that kind of thing. And then he never responds to stories with like hard eyes or anything, like, you know, it's never like the like thirst trappy kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not like, oh wow, you look so great. It's just like, this is so funny, or like the laughing emoji. Really? And usually people are like, no, like people do that because they like still want to like hook up with you, like, you know. But like they don't ask me out. So I'm like, no, I think he just thinks I'm funny.
No, I think he's like legit.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you're listening to this, hi, thank you for helping me support my dream. But no, I've always thought about like trying stand-up comedy, but that scares me because I don't like seeing like men in, I don't know why, but like I feel like a lot of guys don't know how to pick jeans, and like there's a lot of like male comics, they just wear jeans a lot. Okay. And there's a lot of like frightening jean combos with hoodies and t-shirts, and I'm just like, plus the whole like, you know, stigma. I feel like it just seems like an unsafe environment, and my bedtime's very early, so like I just, you know, I can't just have like late nights, and I'm too high maintenance for that. Like I need to have a pink microphone and just be talking into it. Give people the option to mute me without me knowing, you know, like I don't think I could stand up on a stage and have people be like, boo, like, you know, like not find me funny and be like, yeah, because we're not on a date and like guys laugh. It's just because they're like, haha, I'm hoping you'll sleep with me. So, you know, like they'll fake it. But like if you're on a stage in front of people, they don't find you funny. They just are like, chicks are funny.
Will they talk crap back?
There's like hecklers, yeah.
Oh, not a heckler. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
But like I just imagine it would happen. I don't know. I have like I catastrophize. Like I freak out. Like I'm like, oh, the worst case scenario thing will like happen to me, which is not great because like, you know, if like then I get scared because people are like, well, what you think is your reality, you're manifesting. Okay, and I'm like, and then I'm like, oh God, I'm being so negative. I'm gonna manifest negative things, and then it's like. Really? And then then I like loop-de-loop spiral. But yeah, so on a positive note, as I look at the wilted flowers on my coffee table. They still look kind of cool.
I think they look cool.
They look cool.
They go with the apartment.
Yeah.
The colors.
Thanks. My mom got them for me.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty basic.
Definitely not a man. But does Cameron ever buy you flowers? Cameron is her boyfriend, by the way.
Yes.
That's not just a random.
Does this guy buy flowers? Yes, he does.
Oh,
Right?
I've also heard that like guys like getting flowers. Have you heard that like guys, like if it actually happened to them, they'd be like, oh, this is so nice. Like I get it now.
Yeah,
Like I get it.
Totally see that.
But I don't know if it's like you'd have to give a guy like a succulent, you know, you give him a cactus and he's like, oh.
I think so. Cameron loves anything. So.
Yeah. Oh. Linus loves flowers. He will literally stop and like I would think he's gonna pee on flowers and I'm like, no, but he just goes and sniffs and then like walks away.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. His eyes are rolled back into his head right now. He's sleeping. He can sleep through anything.
I mean, yeah.
It's insane.
I believe that.
But yeah, we're talking about my wiener. I have a dachshund, and yeah, so I have big dick energy. Is this a podcast that I didn't even think about that. I guess I'll be swearing.
Yeah,
cussing is okay because it's a word, and I like words. So
yeah, 100%. Does your mom care if you cuss?
I feel like I learned all my curse words at home because
Okay,
I'm the youngest, so it was like at first it would be like, don't say that, and then it would be like my siblings say stuff all the time. And I'm like, you really can't enforce this rule, and then like get my dad in a car and have someone cut him off, like you know, like
you learned everything you need to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like one time my sister was in the back seat when she was younger, and my dad, like I feel like his favorite curse word, especially when driving, is always like son of a beep. And so one time my sister was like a toddler back in the car and she was like, what did that son of a bleep do, Daddy?
Oh my God.
It's in like this story in my family and I'm like, checks out. Or like one time I was in the car with him and he picked me up from dance class and he's driving back and he like yells like, you idiot. And I'm like, Dad, that guy's in a convertible, our windows are down. And he's like, good.
Oh, he heard.
Yeah. And I'm like, we are in Texas, like, I feel like you do that now. You have a gun.
Yeah.
Someone's like, pew pew.
No, that's for sure.
It's so scary. Yeah, like I don't.
My grandpa always like tells me to be careful about like honking or like being too aggressive.
Yeah, or like flipping people off.
Road rage is insane.
I get scared even when people talk about what is it like. I'm afraid like if someone like lets you in and you wave, like I'm afraid someone's gonna think my like little friendly wave is like a middle finger. You know?
Oh no! See, I gotta do the wave.
How you do the little wave?
Do the wave like you didn't deserve getting.
Okay. The next time I drive and like I don't know, I never.
Years, yeah. That's fair.
But yeah, so thank you everybody for listening to what has been, I was going to be like another installment of probably the first installment, maybe second installment of Antisocialite.
Yes.
Yay.
Make sure to rate the podcast, follow it on Spotify, and leave a review.
Swipe right on us and life because life is beautiful. Okay. Wow.
And where can they find you on socials?
Oh my gosh, I'm so naive at this. You can find me at Antisocialite Pod on Instagram. And I think that's it for now because I'll probably just link it to my personal. Why not? Yeah. I have my name on here. I'm not afraid. But if you are my boss and you're listening to this, please don't. Probably should put that at the beginning.
Yeah.
I should have done that.